So you have this gentleman. What's his name?
Ryan Rapasky.
Ryan Rapasky.
And he's a filmmaker as well.
Of sorts.
Of sorts.
He runs a studio.
Oh, okay.
We use them all the time. We're kind of like we partnered up a while back.
Well, that's good. Where's the studio at?
Canoga Park.
Oh, okay.
That's the best place.
Hey, shake up in there, shake that shit. Not much problem.
Trying to see as much of the bar as possible.
You scared
But
me.
you're very right. I mean, really, that's what it's acceptable because you make every piece in the world.
That same glass. Not cool.
What is in that glass?
Nothing. That's the problem.
Ah,
You keep picking up that glass and there's nothing in it. Jack, what else is happening?
Now it's just the party.
What's on the
From here on,
Really? This is the
this
party?
is it.
Yeah, really well.
Wow.
It'll get better. There's more coming. There's many coming, in fact.
Oh,
What is that? I feel it in my back.
Holla, holla.
Hala, hala. Who gave me these? Hold on to them until I figure it out.
Are they mine?
Yeah, you probably gave me.
He had like a television transmission going on the whole time.
Now we can see everything.
Jacques,
We can see you guys. What?
there was like a little TV sound going on in the back.
Yeah, that was something like.
You guys are dancing. Okay.
More this way. This one. Where does the cutoff point? It should go more.
Without sound, we don't have music or anything.
There it is. There it is. That's the cutoff. Right there. You can see it. Yeah.
Where's the dance ball?
Where's
Oh,
this? Where's the line?
Wait, look at how cool that is.
Yeah,
I
we
can
can see
punch
her
into the other
now.
screen.
There you go.
Wait, get back to it. There. 1, 2, 3.
Trying to create a 360
Wait, no,
degree
wait, okay, one more time.
situation.
1, 2, 3.
You can move from that screen to. Oh, it takes a little second to get.
Takes a little lag time there,
Yeah, there's
huh?
lag time.
A little bit of lag time.
And then- oh, no, it's not that much.
Eh, Johnny wanna be a lag time.
Hi.
No, there's no lag time. It's perfect. Let's see. Fly from screen to screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. From now on, we're just going to run it as people show up. There's a small handful of people still coming. And it will
Gaggle of
be
geese.
Heart.
And my friend just said, "Oh, your friend Jacques did Revenant."
The Revenant.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you like The
He
Revenant?
said it was really good.
The He?
It's a he. What was that movie?
It was my friend Carrie wrote and directed it and produced
zombie
it.
picture.
He did everything. I
Oh, it's a zombie
yeah.
picture.
It's a zombie
That's
picture.
why.
Good
That
one.
makes sense.
My
Okay,
man.
everybody. There it is. That's Ryan Rapasky at the bar.
That is.
Hi, Ryan.
What's up? So Ryan Rapasky, we're gonna do this as a
Heard of
group.
him.
We're gonna do this as a group situation.
I love group situations.
Isn't
Terrific.
that apropos?
And Ryan Rapasky is a filmmaker.
Well, not anymore.
Hey,
Well,
hey.
We'll always be. Maybe again
Once you
someday.
made
Yeah.
something, you're officially a maker of that something.
But the thing is, Ryan,
Yes.
you run a production studio, so you can't be more of a filmmaker. I mean, you are facilitating productions.
Yes.
And you've done just about everything in the whole filmmaking universe. And you're involved with Connection.
Yep.
And so you're making shit happen. So there you go.
Trying.
But you're also a participant of the open lifestyle situation, and you're open about being open.
Well, I mean, growing up, I was always told that I played well with others, so it just kind of carried through to my adult life. So.
Say what again?
Uh-oh.
It's good practice to keep going.
Yeah.
Wait.
What's going on?
Veronica.
Is that on speaker?
Got a little.
That's Ryan.
Veronica. Hi, Veronica.
We can't hear you unless you point it at the speaker.
Oh well. She speaks Italian.
So, ice? Sure. I don't know.
I don't think we have any ice.
Have any ice?
Oh my gosh.
I'm really, 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 really
Foul.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
It was the worst.
Fuck, we should have had you fix them up
Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
way
I know,
over,
right?
Yeah, right.
Should have got a
Yeah, I
bag.
was thirsty. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
You had to watch me drink
This
that
is
much beer.
independent filmmaking.
Exactly.
Make your own
Or
ice.
dependent
Bring your own ice.
filmmaking. Depending.
Where
So-
he's from, they do that. Minnesota.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
from Buffalo. We all make ice.
Buffalo, Minnesota? Or
No, Buffalo,
New York. Because there's a Buffalo, Minnesota. So, but
And you don't have to make ice in Buffalo.
No, they do. They do. Like 8 months out of the year, we just make ice. That's our job.
Because you can.
Because we can.
Because you just
We
put water
Mother
outside.
Nature said, "We're going to make ice."
and it
You know, I
And we
partied
do.
downtown Buffalo.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was all right.
I've had
Found
good
the-
times in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Ran
But
into the-
some really
Bad
bad times about
That's where Diane's from.
At just our luck, we ran into the only tranny bar that all of Buffalo. That wasn't ever
Marcel's?
by luck.
just
By
by
luck.
luck. Yeah,
After
luck.
4 hours searching on the internet, we, by luck, found the only.
By chance.
Yeah, make sure I don't get in your side.
There's
line.
probably more than one though now.
Ah, well.
Anyway,
it
we're
was
having
pretty
an interview
economically
with
depressed,
Ryan
I could say.
right now. Right now, Ryan
It
is
was
the
pretty
fo-
depressed.
Hey,
Hey, this is
Right
my
now,
moment.
Ryan is
Oh,
the
Exactly.
right. Sorry, this is all about you right now.
if you have questions, ask Ryan. If you have comments,
I have questions.
okay, ask him.
You are a swinger, and that's what you how you introduced him, right?
Well, no, not as a swinger, as an open lifestyle advocate, which
Okay,
can
what's
be
the
many
difference?
things.
What is the difference?
I don't. There's it's politically nicer to put it as a lifestyle advocate.
Same difference.
The same
then.
difference, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, are you in a relationship now?
Not right now, no.
And
I just came out of a 5-year relationship, actually.
Okay, so
And she was a participant.
Yes.
Well,
but
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
you are dating, or whatever that means, you're single. So that means then how does that change your status in the swinger sort of?
Well, certainly there are resorts and clubs and things like that we used to go to that don't admit single men for various reasons.
So here's finally the stigma of being a dude.
Well, because we'll just creep on everything that moves.
Yes.
So at least when you've got a woman with you, you keep things in check.
it's not like you have a problem finding one to go with you.
That's definitely, it's just a matter of time now. So
Motherfucker.
I got a story for you.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I want to know all about this story.
Good God.
Okay, so now we've learned here's the realism, you guys. Single men are creepers.
Well, yeah, sometimes
Men in relationships are swingers.
Exactly.
Well, we could legally
standard.
creep, at least we
Legally
we can
creep.
legally creep, because at least the wife can go back and say, hey, that dude over there, talk to your man,
In the swinger community, is it more often the women that are the ones that are the instigators in that kind of relationship?
I've met a lot of different people, and I would honestly say it's really, in my experience, it's been split down the middle. Some have been, men, some have been the women. And I'm actually, again, this is in my experience, surprised that the statistic has been that high for women, because I would have thought it would have been more of the men, less of the women. But it's always fascinating to me when I meet a woman who, she saw this as a way of growing personally and sexually and within the relationship, and it's fascinating to me how these things play out. One of the conversations that I've had with Jacques and Roger when I first read the screenplay for the film was, how does this start? Because I think the most awkward part of the lifestyle is the first conversation you have with your significant other who you've been with for a very long time,
Right.
when you basically say, hey, I love you to death, but I kind of want to have sex with other people. That can, be a big boner. That can really messing things
Or
up.
not a big boner.
Or not,
At all.
yeah, or not at all.
Not at all.
I think that is the real hurdle. And it's the level of trust and level of understanding. When you bring that up and come to that realization that you'd like to explore this side of yourself, that's huge. So for a man to say that to a woman or a woman to say that to a man, I'm just always fascinated by, how that worked out and how they went about it. And stuff like that.
Well, so a lot of this is, not that anyone wouldn't have already assumed that, but a lot of this is psychology
Oh, I think so.
and how communication, just like any healthy relationship, is going to require a fair amount of that.
Yeah.
So, what's the conversation that you have when you're in a steady relationship and you want to open up that conversation? Is it something that you start from the very beginning and you sort of hint around towards it until all of a sudden it becomes a real conversation, or is it something that you pop into like a year in? You're like, hey, so I want to fuck somebody else in the nicest way possible.
Well, you're really talking to the wrong guy here because I don't dance. I don't play any games. It's literally and figuratively out there from the moment you meet me.
But I think in a way that's healthier.
Yeah.
Not even in a way. That is healthier.
My sex life, when I am in a relationship, it's very important that be the one thing. If we don't agree on any other part of our relationship, but we have the same desires sexually, that's going to work. And I've said this example's done before. It's like, if you like baseball and I like basketball, you can go watch the baseball game with your friends, I can go watch the basketball game with my friends. But if you don't like to fuck the way I like to fuck, or you only like to fuck once a month and I like to fuck once a day, this is going to be a problem.
Well, that's men-women stuff anyway.
Well,
Right.
but a lot of people end up compromising in the bedroom, and I think that not enough emphasis is put on the requirements that each individual has in the bedroom early on in the relationship. So much time is invested, putting on, your best face and just being, the best person you can be in the initial parts of the relationship, that you don't really get too deep into the sexual stuff. Of course, you'll have sex, but some of those deep, dark things don't come out for a while. And now by the time they do, you've already invested so much time that it's like, okay, well, obviously we're on different fields here. Do I just walk away because everything else is awesome, or do we compromise? For me, I have done the compromise before. It doesn't work. If we don't see things eye to eye, if the things that turn me on don't turn you on, I don't want to have pity sex. I don't want somebody to give me sex because they're doing me a favor. That doesn't turn me on. I don't care who you are. I don't care how gorgeous you are. I don't care what your body looks like. If you're not into it, I'm not into it. I don't care. It's got to be what gets you off gets me off. That's the bottom line.
How much of this lifestyle takes over your everyday life?
Very little.
Very little. Yeah,
Well, thank you.
no, very little. No,
The reason I say that is I know the man works 24/7.
Yeah, I literally, a short day for me is 12 hours. An average day is 16.
Okay, so but you work in this show business, and that's normal. But not everybody works in this
No,
business.
no.
And
You mean
So-
how much is a typical?
A typical
how much
person, I
would
guess she's
a
asking.
typical person?
Oh.
Because a lot of times what happens is when you have a sexual lifestyle, and a lot of times it becomes a stereotypical. Well, all you're thinking about most of the time, all day long, is who's your next fuck? What are you? How are you planning out the day? You have you're the dominant, and you have a submissive at home waiting for you. Like, this is your whole day. You've now planned out the rest of your life sort of based on what your sexual needs are.
Yeah.
How much of that ends up in a typical swinger relationship?
I don't know. For me, it's not like putting together a March Madness bracket. It'd be fun if I could do
Because
that.
I have my fantasy football team all worked out right now.
I
Go
do
UCLA.
know couples that, they're at lifestyle events every weekend. Or they're hosting, or, they've met friends and it's become social or whatever. For me, in my, experience, me and my girlfriend would go to this one exclusive resort in Palm Springs, and that was our getaway. It was escape from life, go here, act out this part of our life, come back, you know, and we only did it literally a few times a year, and then on occasion we would hook up with, you know, some other couples here and there, but it wasn't the kind of thing where, you know, we're counting down the week, almost like, you know, Friday happy hour. Okay, it's time to do this. I mean, if you, I think if you constantly are out there circulating, I mean, I love sex and I would love to have lots and lots of it, but I think if it is consuming you and that's your whole goal is to spread your seed all around, there's probably something more going on there, you know. I mean, if this is your entire life, you might want to, you know, reevaluate your priorities just a little bit, you know, but, you know, this is the
But I think that's a
black here.
lot of the no, but I think
Did I
that's
just say that really?
Yeah, you did.
I think that's a lot of the
So
misconception.
what are you gonna do?
about
That, what are you gonna do, Ryan?
I think that's a lot of the misconception though, of
But, yeah.
of a sexual lifestyle is that it does require a lot of your time. But
People can let it consume them. It's all how you choose to manage it.
And like I say, you know, when I said I knew couples who, you know, would always be at lifestyle events, mind you, that didn't mean that they're participating in gangbangs every Friday, Saturday night. You know, they would get to meet other, you know, couples that they shared similar interests. And, you know, for me, when I was originally living in San Diego and doing it, you know, we met couples that I have a boat, you know. So
Well, you guys talk first, you share food, and then you gangbang.
well, ideally.
Isn't gangbang like a whole other?
Yeah,
like,
I'm
just
extreme
kidding.
of it? No, but I mean for
Yes.
real though. If we're talking honestly, like
Gangbang's one
swinging
woman
is
who's
one
got like
thing, but,
18
yeah,
dudes behind her.
gangbang is
Or that's
not.
a train, really.
Different.
I need a lot of lube and some ibuprofen.
Going to a
So yeah, I mean,
gangbang.
there's people who will only make friends with other lifestylers, and it's okay, sure, you know. But I mean, to you know, completely put all my eggs, at least for me, in one basket and say I'm only going to be around other people who share the same mindset as me. I'm only going to do social things. All this,
Fuck that up.
you know.
Oh, not you.
Not me. There are people that do that, but that's not. my
So
thing.
how long have you gone? Like, or should how long have you gone with only having sex with one person? What's that time period?
You mean
When you start getting the itch of like, okay, we need to branch out, see other people.
Well, that depends on the person because you know I've been on a couple dates with this one girl and she's very much into this kind of stuff.
Okay,
And
so you found a perfect match.
so far, and you know, so for the topic to come up, you know, it would be like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. It wouldn't be like, oh, okay, I'm getting bored. It would be like, you know, it's her feeding me feeding her. You know, I mean, after the
Do
second.
you think it's possible if her hunger was actually more than yours to be with other people, would the tables ever turn where you're like, hey, maybe we don't need to do this so much. Maybe we just need some more alone time.
Oh no. That gets even more exciting. In fact, we were on our second date, and I was like, "So, how'd your week go?" She's good. I go, "So, do you want any other dates?" She goes, "With men?" I go, "Okay, well, with anybody." She goes, "I went on this date with this lesbian. I wanted to see if I was that into girls or not." I'm like, "Well, so what do you think?" She goes, "I don't know. I have to see her one more time." Wow.
Okay,
And it wasn't
now,
for
if she-
the fact that it's a woman. The whole woman on woman thing isn't a big
Right.
deal. The
It
fact
has
that she just wanted to
everything
go
to do
and
with
Right.
the
check
fact
it
that
out
it's
and
a
do
woman.
this.
Hold on, because if she would have said, "Yeah, it was with 3 different guys,"
Oh, no.
it's a whole different story.
Hey,
She doesn't.
that would have been a real good story.
Yeah, you don't know that.
I would
But
love
no,
that.
I'm asking.
He gets off on that.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
That makes me happy.
Absolutely.
Because there are not a lot of guys out there
Oh, no,
that
in
are
fact,
like just as cool with a girl having sex with a girl.
Although that is
She
different
actually-
with people in the lifestyle.
It's
though.
funny. She actually sent me a text message the next day after we first had sex. She goes, "Can we please make a mold of your penis so that I can practice with that and a dildo so we can get ready for a DP?"
Oh,
This girl has goals.
I find that incredibly romantic.
I was, but that's the thing that
But she didn't say so that I can have sex with another man and DP with him in your.
again, I would.
That's awesome.
That would be cool.
You
because,
guys, we finally broke some molds. No pun intended.
and I think the reason that I find it so incredibly sexy is they're being real. They're being raw. Anybody who says they don't have fantasies, that they don't have things that they want to try, is full of shit. I've seen so many marriages that it looks so great for the first 10, and the kids get a little older, things get a little stale, they get a little routine. The next thing you know, the guy's out sucking off other guys, the woman's doing this. I mean, crazy shit goes down. People need to get their needs met, and
But that's psychology.
that's what I'm saying is so sexy about this. The fact that I can promote this open of a dialogue with somebody that I just met as if we're talking about the weather, I like that because there's no bullshit. I don't have time for lies in my life. I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm too busy. I'm very career oriented. When I do want to let my hair down, I don't want it to be with all of these rules and regulations. We're adults. We're consenting adults. Let's be honest with who we are and what we do.
I think it's easy though when, and I don't have kids and I'm not married, so I'm saying this as a novice, but I think it's easier to say what you just said when you don't have those things that are sort of hanging you up. When you're stuck with someone or like bonded to someone,
There's a lot more risk involved.
a huge amount of and a huge amount of commitment that you have to sort of rely on.
Exactly.
That like, okay, we now have 13-year-old kids. They're fine. They're not going to be home most of the time anymore.
Oh, sure.
So now it's just the two of us. What do we do? What do we do? How do you rekindle it? How do you spark it? I mean, that's a whole other
I
conversation.
know that's
But
the
that's
thing.
where the psychology comes in, which is why the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing is interesting to me because it sort of sparked another conversation of we don't have to be dead just because we have reached a certain age or because we have had a kid or because we have been married for a certain amount of time. None of that is relevant. We just have to remember to talk to each other. We can have anything we want.
Okay.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
All right, we're being joined.
We have new blood.
We have new blood.
When did I take over the fucking interview?
Do it. You did a
Sorry.
great job.
What's your name? Jordan.
Uh-oh. Holy mackerel. We don't know what was
What's
that.
happening?
No.
Okay, you look like one of his girlfriends. I'm sorry. I just had to verify that.
All right. Here's the
I probably know what you asked her.
these speakers are over here, so you have to kind of talk loud,
You know what?
and so we can hear what you have to say. Don't be afraid to project. You guys are both models and actresses. You do
Yeah.
nude modeling, but it's like art, very artistic. At least what I saw on your site.
That's what I saw.
They have a Tumblr page.
Cheers
Both
to
of you.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, both of them have a Tumblr page, and they have their work on there. And you work with several different kinds of.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people. So.
And you're both from LA, right?
California. Yeah, surrounding. I'm from Ojai.
Okay.
I'm from Rancho Cucamonga.
I've been there one time. It's
Really?
beautiful up there, yeah.
It is
There's a
beautiful
spa
up
up there that I
There's
went
a
to.
lot of spas up there.
It seems
It's a
to be
spa
the area.
Okay, so we're having just sort of an open conversation
Okay.
about open relationships.
Okay. Interesting.
So before we launch back into that, we've heard Ryan's perspective. I'd like to hear your perspectives. Are you basically monogamists?
No. I mean. I don't know. I have an interesting concept of monogamy recently. I don't know if it's entirely realistic, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Well, that's okay. Let's hear your fantasy.
Oh, I don't know if it's a fantasy. I don't know if I could live by it because I'm a very jealous person. unfortunately. But I would like to not be. But I think that I don't think people by nature are monogamous, because dating back to like before it was really, or I think marriage is like a religious thing that's brought on by like kings and queens and stuff like that. So before you ever really belonged to somebody by like a marriage title, everybody was just fucking each other. You know, there's no love was still a thing. You could still be connected to somebody in a certain way, but nobody was like, you're only supposed to be with me. I don't think that was ever really a thing that was instilled until we started developing religions.
And how do you think this applies to current relationships?
I think it explains a lot of why people are unfaithful. I don't know.
You think they would have if they could just be themselves, they would have open relationships?
Yeah.
If jealousy
Well,
wasn't
people
an
can
issue.
look at the stigmas
Yeah.
surrounding sex. You know, it's very American. It's very, very crazy. The first time I ever went to a nudist resort, I was 21. I came back. I told my friends about it. They all freaked out, and they're like, "What about the old people? What about this?" I'm like, you know what? I talked to a woman who was in her 60s, had a double mastectomy, not physically attractive, but the conversation that I had with her and the fact that she's just, this is me. I'm like,
Confidence
rock on.
is the sexiest
Yeah.
thing in the world.
yeah, I'm like, good for you. You know, they're all going, well, didn't you get a boner? Or, you know, didn't you want to fuck everything that moved? I'm like, what is this? Junior fucking high school? No, that wasn't. This was very, very freeing. It was very liberating. It was an amazing experience. People all of a sudden, or always associate like nudity with sex. You know, why do you have to be naked
Oh my
and
God.
putting your dick in something or opening your legs for something? Can't
Oh
we
my
just
God.
be naked and be naked to be naked?
You're
You know?
so preaching to the choir.
Mhm.
You know?
And you know, it's oh, only married. You know, Minnesota. I'm at the top of the Bible Belt up there. You know, it's
You brought up a very interesting thing though, because I don't know that it needs to. I think of myself as a pretty open person. I'm not judging any. I think all of it is pretty awesome. Me myself, I'm not a jealous person necessarily by nature, but
Yeah.
I would prefer, I think, not an open relationship, but not because of
But
a
I
religious stigma or not because of a
I think it's just how
societal
we're
stigma. I think it's just a preference.
Yeah.
And so there are ways to get around, I suppose, the jealousy or you brought up.
Yeah.
You're just too jealous to
Yeah.
be and something like that. But I think that's just a confidence thing. It's just
Yeah.
about being
Well,
in a
definitely,
supportive
absolutely.
relationship as
I-
opposed to being in
I can definitely say it's an insecurity thing with the jealousy with stuff, and I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit that. And I think that something interesting that somebody said to me at one time was they would be like much more hurt and feel much more like cheated on if they found like somebody was going to like dinners and non-romantic walks on the beach and like having conversations with somebody than if they just like fucked them and left.
That's a whole different thing that we need to talk about.
oh, I mean, the shorter the leash, the more the dog wants to run. You know, it's,
Yeah, but isn't there a difference between if you're gonna swing, you're gonna swing because it's a sexual encounter that's
it's
gonna happen.
a sport.
with
That's
two-
it. I'm not.
yes.
It's not about polyamory. I don't.
And it's
I
not
don't
about
carry,
taking long walks on the beach.
Yeah,
and
I
having-
don't. I don't carry on multiple love-based relationships.
And you're not texting
That's-
them in between,
No.
and there's no exchange of niceties
No.
in between
No.
the sexual encounters, and that makes a huge difference, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
because it's just a thing. It's a
But
mechanism it's a means to an end.
But referring to an interview before you guys got here earlier, it's interesting because the girls we talked to earlier, who I don't think were in the room, about it's actually the opposite. They want that
For the two of them, it
connection.
was, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see
It was.
different perspectives.
Well,
on it.
girls,
But
I think,
then-
will always. I mean, I think we get off more on the emotional side of things than
Yeah.
than guys.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are more like. But when a guy is connecting with a woman and texting and
But these
there's a-
guys do that. With
That's
these
scary.
girls, That they're
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a high-class escort
yeah, exactly.
who has these emotional attachments
yeah,
to the
and
guys that
guys
she
have
has,
more of an attachment
relationship
to them
with.
than they have to them.
For money.
Believe it or not, yeah, exactly.
and she gets
And a
attached.
lot of them are married
Or has.
or, you know,
and has multiple relationships, and then the other one is she was an advocate she was an open relationship, I guess. What did she call herself? What was that? Anyway, she was an expert, suppose. I mean, and she has multiple boyfriends around. She has one primary that she lives with, and then she has satellites of men that she has
Satellites.
emotional relationships with.
Right. And she actually, the one girl said she prefers those. She has those close relationships, but the men probably rely on her. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
the men actually break
Yeah.
down more than they do,
Yeah.
as far as
So
lining
is
up.
she having sex with the guys that she's?
Oh yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Both.
But she has more of an emotional attachment to some,
All-
and more
to-
of a physical
that's correct.
attachment to others.
But she says she gets the escort gets emotionally attached to almost all of her clients.
Right. Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah,
That
see,
sounds
that's a different.
stressful.
I mean, that's a
I
different
know.
means of
Yeah, I can only
gathering
focus
needs.
on
Not-
like two
I don't
things.
mean- I don't think it's beyond-
Gathering your needs.
Right.
But she, in other words, she feels an emotional. Yeah, she takes
Right.
care of them in a way that makes her feel like they're in a relationship for that moment that they're together,
Right.
and that's the emotional thing.
Right.
It's important to her, even though she gets paid as an escort.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I don't want sex
That's a
only after we've gone.
multitasker.
Yeah, you don't see that too many
No.
too many hookers. So we'll,
No.
Here's
Well,
more about these.
or maybe you
I
do.
just want to be able to play that out.
I doubt
Here's what I
it.
want to say to you.
I seriously
Right.
doubt it.
Right.
You were saying about how you prefer a monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
But it's, for me, in a way, serial monogamy is, I mean, you're not having multiple partners
Grandma,
simultaneously,
I don't trust those.
but you're having multiple partners,
But not simultaneously.
but not simultaneously. And it, in a way, it's a form of non-monogamy, because you're just kind of, you're not really locking into someone for
Well, but isn't
long
the,
enough
but
to.
isn't the hope that you would? I guess that's the idea. I'm not a multitasker, and so I don't want to have to. I don't want to be thinking about 12 things at one time, or even 3 things at one time. I want to be. If I'm choosing you for right now, I would like for you to be the one that I would like to spend the majority of my time with. And if it's not working, then eventually it's not going to work, and then we move on to the next person I would like to spend a lot of time with.
But
But spending a little time with
And I'm
you
just
and
arguing-
a little time with him and a little time with him, that just seems complicated to me, and I just don't want to bother.
But you know what's worse, though?
I don't. That doesn't work.
But that also because
It doesn't work for
I'm
you at all.
I'm more of like a typical girl where like I like to be seduced emotionally. I want to be involved emotionally.
I mean, have no illusions. I mean, I love to wine and dine and travel and do special things. But for me, the sex thing is just, if we have desires, let's act them out together. No holds barred. You know, and it's not to say that, you know, if I did meet someone and she closed the door on it, you know, depending on how everything else was, you know, that might have to be the case.
That was actually going to be my
You know?
question, because
Yep.
I dated someone who was in that world, and he made it sound like he could give that up, and he has done it for past girlfriends. But I'm like, I don't think he would ever truly be happy for a long term to do that. I would hate to do that to someone, and I just felt like I love him dearly as a person, but we were so different that way that I just said, you know, hey, do your thing, and you know, whatever. But I don't think you're going to be happy long term in a relationship where, you know, I have these different.
Well, and
settings.
only time will tell. But I mean, the fact that you're open enough to at least, you know, discuss it and deal with it—that's the thing. I mean, some people just don't even talk about sex.
Yeah,
Again, it's
right.
the thing that you do after you have dinner at Olive Garden, go watch a movie, and turn the lights off.
Right.
Oh my God! Ew!
That's
Do you want to get married? Is marriage a thing that is something that's interesting?
well, interesting is an interesting term.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting. You know, it's like
Um,
'Cause
like
I
a
don't find
science
marriage
class.
interesting anyway.
No,
I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
You know, I remember what show was it? I don't remember if it was one of the MTV reality shows. It was either the one with the 2 rock stars. You got the one, you got Ozzy, and then you got the other one.
Brett Michaels.
No, the other, Gene
Flavor Flav?
Simmons.
Oh, Gene.
Oh right,
Okay, Gene has the ex-Playboy wife, right?
Shannon
Yeah.
Tweed.
Shannon.
Current
They're now
wife.
wife, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they were open.
But I remember before they officially got married, he said something that I thought was very, very valid. He goes, you know, marriage, you say, I do once, okay? You live by this this commitment, this cloud. He goes, every day we wake up and we decide we do. You know, it's a one day at a time. You know, and I found that to be incredibly profound.
Thank you for quoting James.
I know.
I thought that was incredibly profound.
Hey, the man just got elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, goddamn.
Finally.
Relationship guru Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
So you guys are young, I assume.
We're
Yeah.
really old. Yes.
Well, I mean, just because their mom dropped them off doesn't mean anything.
So your experience in relationships is probably growing.
Well, that's always growing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And but in what relationships you've had thus far, I mean, what are the how do your lovers respond to your?
Stop calling them lovers, first of all.
The way he says
I
that.
don't know if it's a girl
No one
or a
of
guy.
our generation calls them lovers.
Lovers.
Well, I just wanted to find it. You can't make
What's
assumptions.
your FB?
Hi, yeah,
Guys,
you're
Guys,
fuck
girls,
buddies.
whatever you date,
Yeah.
whatever. The people who are important to you, and are they comfortable with your nudity and your choice in profession?
I don't really date people that aren't okay with it. Like, I don't really let people in my life that aren't okay with it.
Aren't okay
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
That's very true.
How do you know? How do you find them? What do you tell them?
Usually
Like,
stick to
what-
the industry.
Yeah, you pretty much stick to other people that do the same thing.
Yeah, it's really hard to, in my experience. I mean, I found one person that I saw for maybe a week or so that was okay with it. But it's kind of like I've noticed that, at least in other people, that it's an over time thing, where they act like they're okay with it at first, and then they kind of get used to seeing that their girlfriend's naked on the internet, and all these guys are saying these sleazy things to them, and they're like, start to develop a complex about it, and then it becomes a problem. Personally, since I've been doing this, I've only dated people that have been within the industry, and that's honestly just because I don't really do much else, so I don't really meet anybody else.
Do you think that there is a conversation or some sort of communication that you could have with a guy
Yeah.
that is uncomfortable with all of a sudden, like, he knows what you do,
Yeah.
obviously, and
Yeah.
whatever, he's already informed. But at a certain point, like you said, he's starting to get uncomfortable.
Well,
Do you think that there is like a-
because I don't think it was totally clear, at least to me, I didn't hear this, what you guys do, so like, do you do video cam, is that what you said, or? what-
No.
Okay.
It's we both do freelance modeling. I'm signed commercially, but the nude stuff that I do is not through my agency. That's just my own work.
And so who are you modeling for?
It's different stuff.
Random people.
It's
Artists that
Yeah,
draw
yeah.
you, or it's
Yeah,
just like
artists,
people are just want-
photographers,
Okay.
painters, sculptors,
Okay.
like people who do short films, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does this relate to this? I'm just trying to figure out, like, connect the dots. Like, how does that relate to the swinging world? I mean, how does that connect?
It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I thought it'd be interesting because like they're young
Right.
and they're sort of out there dating and sort of defining what kind of relationships they want to have, and even just doing nudity is like hard for some guys.
Over the line.
You
for
know,
some
it's
Yeah,
hard.
people,
It's like
right?
to them, it's an alternative life.
Right.
Oh my God, you're naked, and like just nudity is just such a big thing.
So what is
Or-
the response that you get from the guys that you date?
Uh,
usually, when they
People that I
find out?
meet who are outside of the industry who find out what I do, they get really weird.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, well, I've already seen you naked, and they just disappear.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They get uncomfortable with it, and then they can't get past it.
Well, I mean, I studied art, so that's why I'm like really fascinated by that. Because to me, it's art. You know, it's an art form. Studying an art form, the body is a beautiful thing. And if you can draw the human body, you know, you can draw anything. Is what they tell you. So to me, it's just your. I mean, it's a little uncomfortable at first because I'm from the Midwest and people are pretty pent up there. But when once you got past that and you realized it was an artistic, expression versus it's not sexual in any way, really. But is there some sexuality to it, or is it strictly just nudity?
There is
Sometimes
sexuality
There's
to it.
sexuality. Sometimes there's a lot of sexuality, but it's not. It's like subtle sexuality.
Okay.
and I don't think that sexuality really dominates what it is. But there is always going to be an aspect to it, and I
Sure.
don't think that necessarily means that it needs to be
like quote unquote sexy,
Mm-hmm.
or like sexual, where it is just flat out about sex. But there is always kind of an element to it. But I think that's just because
Erotic,
it's very
like,
human,
More erotic, yeah.
more so than it is about trying to turn people on.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
And how much does doing that kind of work affect your work as actresses? Like, do people feel like, oh, you're that actress?
I've had people tell me that they want to work with me because I'm willing to do nudes, and they have a hard time finding people to do nude scenes for them.
That is true. A lot of the stuff that I've done, a lot of the music videos that I've done, or a couple of the commercials that I've done have somehow involved nudity, and they need somebody that's comfortable with that. Because even if it's not being shown on camera, you're still naked in front of an entire crew of people,
Yeah.
and you need to be okay with that and not be uptight about it. So
At what point in your life, again, because you guys are both young, did you discover you were okay with it?
Were your parents hippies?
Yes, they
That was
were.
actually the
They
email question.
And I'm from Ohio. You've been there once.
Oh, right.
Of course they
Oh,
were.
Love that.
I was actually going to say, he was talking about a nudist thing. I went to nude hot springs when I was a kid with my parents, so that might...
Wait, you saw your parents nude?
Yeah.
Okay, that might freak me out a little bit. I mean, I'm okay with everybody else nude, but my parents being nude, that's like a whole different thing.
I understand you on that one.
No, it was a little weird for that, but, I mean, it was, that might contribute to why this is what I do, partially. Maybe,
Just
But-
means you're comfortable with your own sexuality because they were comfortable with
Yeah.
their own sexuality, and they didn't show any shame in that,
Yeah.
and you being there and seeing them like that. It was a natural
It
Exactly.
just
thing.
seems so
Exactly.
liberating.
It really is. And you know,
It
it's
is.
interesting because actually somebody sent a message to a model, Casey Marine, about, she's another nude model, and it was basically saying that she was really inspirational to them because her body type looks like theirs, and it's not one that you would see all the time on TV, and it's like somebody
Why,
wants to take
why,
pictures of,
what?
she's curvier, that's all.
Curvier.
Yeah.
But
I like curvier.
it's just not a typical model body, what you would say. And somebody was inspired by that because somebody wants to take pictures of her, and there's a lot of people like seeking her work and trying to work with her and pay her to see her. And I think that that's really empowering to women because you get to see all these different types of body types. Like, she's shorter, and that's
Very
not
small.
something that's usually accepted
We
in
call
modeling.
that petite.
Yeah, so you get to see all these different types of body types being accepted, and that's for this day and age, and everybody hating on the media. It's I think it's a good thing for people and stuff, women.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always empowering when you see different things. Because, of course, media throws at you. This is what everyone needs to look like or should look like.
Yeah.
Unless you look like that, you're not beautiful and this and that and this. So it is empowering to be able to do something like that. And I actually was impressed with the models that came into our classes. I was like, wow, and they weren't perfect. And it
all
was
should
inspiring.
look like David Bowie.
Well,
Yeah,
we
that's
should.
exactly
To me,
what's
That's
happening.
We should.
Yeah,
If
right.
you don't
That
look
is
like
true.
David Bowie, we're fucked up somehow.
That's right.
But it does inspire you, like people like yourself would inspire me. You got it from when you had that, self-esteem and whatever to do that. It's rubs off on other people. They're like, wow, I wish I could do that, or they kind of, see things in you that they'd like to see in themselves and like to be comfortable in their own body.
There's so many innuendos I could just
Do
go
you, as a man, have any responsibility for our self-esteem?
Wow. Really
Yes.
leaning on that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think men can
I'm
contribute
very-
to building it up.
Oh,
You
I
can.
can also
I'm
contribute
very
to
confident.
And we are the
That's
same
very
way. We
true.
have every ounce of power to make you guys feel like you're the fucking king, and you
Or-
have every ounce of power to make us feel like we are awesome,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Well, if you're a king with a big sword, you don't need a lot of people to tell you.
Oh, there it
I
is.
will be the first one to say that a big dick does not mean you're an awesome dude.
Well done.
It just means you have a
Really?
big dick. That's it. it. And you know what?
It is a
Ow.
good start.
Ow.
Oh,
Okay?
Yes.
Ow.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
an occasional give me a rearrangement.
Give me a rearrangement. Yeah. Anyway.
Just anyway?
Transition from all of it.
What do you want to transition into?
Well, I want to continue talking about. For me, the whole thing is about intimacy and understanding. The movie's called Connection, so it's about the way that we
about
connect with
eHarmony.
each other, the way that we connect with each other, and how people use sex as an expression of that connection. And it is we are like we're islands, each of us.
We're islands.
We're sort of locked in our bodies.
I am a rock.
And so when you do have sex with somebody, it sort of feels like connecting the islands. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's kind of an illusion. So I like to feel like people are
I just
experiencing
like the island hop, Like a
She's
vacation.
an island hopper. And I like this.
Kind of like been there, Chuck.
I like to call it what it is. And-
Island
World
hopping.
traveler.
No, it's just like sex can be a beautiful thing. It can be an expression. It can be a connection. But it can also just be island hopping. And for me, with this movie, I'm trying to understand where people are actually trying to connect, and where they're just
Two ships passing in the night.
no, they're just using that as an excuse to sort of act out, and there's nothing wrong with having a good time. But just admit that's what it is. We're just having a good time.
If it is, yes, if it is filling a void, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons,
Who hurt you? Ryan, who hurt you?
no, I've always had very terrific relationships. I've been very fortunate.
Was it your mother that hurt you?
No, I have a great family. No one's divorced. Everyone's still together. Everything's awesome.
But there are people like that.
But there
out
are people
That's a good
that
point to take.
use.
Well, he's going to be best man at his brother's wedding next week.
Wow.
Very nice.
But I mean, it's.
But you can kind of seek those people, you kind of steer away from those kind of people.
Yeah, that begins to concern me when I start to get involved in their issues, because that's not, like I said, it's not what my, this is just something fun with my partner that we can do together. It's not, again, requiring the attention or love of other people. It's too much. It's too much. It's hard enough to love one person, never less 10 people. That's,
Yeah. Well, that's the other level of, a couple of guys I was talking to today, Reed, Rye, have similar names. He feels like he can love multiple people, so he gets into.
I think some people can do that.
Yeah.
I think so too.
He gets
I
into,
can't.
I just don't have that much attention span.
He gets into multiple love relationships.
I think there are people that are amazing multitaskers.
Just seems stressful to me.
It does, me too. But there are some people that I think directors, people with ADD, I think can really focus on a lot of things at a lot of time. I can't do that. I wouldn't even know where to begin with all of that.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same. It'd be one thing to have a primary where you have that, and then bounce around. That kind of open relationship, I can understand that, because the rest is just playing around. It's playing
But you
basketball
always
with him,
have
and then I'm
home to
playing
go home
basketball with
to.
him. Yeah. Then you have your just stable
Your go-to.
thing
Yeah.
where your heart resides, and the rest of you might play around other places.
So sex is just sex in that particular case,
Mhm.
and love is love, and it's a whole different
All the other
thing.
things.
So
I
where
agree
does
with
that
that.
land with you?
No, I agree with that.
Love
Yeah.
is love, and then
Love
sex
is love. Yeah,
sex.
sex is sex.
It's to
When it's
share.
outside of the relationship with that person, it's just sport. It's just sport. It's fun.
And it builds up your ego, and it makes her feel good because she can get some too, and everybody's feeling like everybody's built up. But at the end of the day, you guys are both going home together.
Yeah, but it's not even about an ego buildup, because for me, watching her feel open enough to go get pleasured by another man, I think is incredibly powerful. That I hold the key to that gate to allow her to do that, and vice versa. It's something we both want to do, and we're comfortable enough and discussed it enough that this is my gift to you. You can do this. I'm okay with it. Express yourself. Do what you want to do. Be yourself. It's like I said, if you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat. So let's all be open and honest about our intentions. And again, there are people that can be monogamous. That's totally cool. But if you're with someone and they have things that they want to do them together. A couple that plays together stays together. I mean, it's.
You were talking earlier a little bit about how it turns you on to know that the woman that you're with, the core person that you're with, would be with other guys openly. And can you just talk a little bit about that? Why that's a turn on?
Well, it's a turn on to me if the turn on could be any number of different scenarios.
Yeah.
The fact that that particular scenario that she wanted to do that and she was confident enough to bring that to my attention really turns me on because she's owning her sexuality. I don't like people that have to get super liquored up to have sex. They have to blame their inhibitions or their actions on other factors, things like that. For someone to say, this is on my bucket list, it's something I want to try, I find that incredibly attractive.
So it's not the turn. It's not so much the men.
It could be any fantasy. It could be
you on. It's the fact that her
whatever it is that she came to me and said.
Self-confidence is what.
That she just said, this is what I want to do. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
It could be that she wants to have multiple men. It could just be that she just wants to be at a dance club and give a guy a hand job while nobody's the wiser. I mean, anything that she just has this little thing that she wants to go do, that she can go do. I think that's incredibly hot. And then we're able to go back and do the replay together. It's really, it's sexy. It's fun. It's that's just me.
Being confident of the act out
Yeah.
what your fantasies are.
It's like I said, everybody has these, but
But I don't know if the expression is have to get liquored up to have to have sex. I think you get liquored up and then have to have sex.
Well, no, I'm not making a generalization. I'm just saying there's just certain people that can only act out when it's really.
I know what you
under
mean.
those-
I was just fucking
yeah.
with you.
But you said that you get jealous. So the idea of seeing your partner get turned on by somebody just pisses you off.
I think if I actually feel like I love that person, it would. It hasn't. I don't think it's ever really bothered me or affected me if I hadn't really had feelings for that person, and that's only been twice. I mean, I'm only 21, so it's only been 2 times that I've ever felt really strongly about somebody enough that I think it would upset me. But yeah,
Have
I'm
you
working on it.
been in a relationship with somebody you didn't feel strongly about
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
maybe flirting with somebody else and it still pissed you off?
Yes and no, but I think that's an ego thing. Not so much in the way that I feel like I'm gonna get left, just kind of in the fact that I'm not being paid attention to at that point in time.
Just a natural.
Yeah.
So again, I hate to keep harping on the fact that you're both young, but that's what you bring to this
No,
discussion.
that's true.
What do you not aspire, but do you see yourself at some point settling down, having the guy, and maybe some kids? I mean, do you think of yourself as like settling into a rather traditional relationship?
Eventually. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you?
I honestly have no idea. I do not want to get married, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't want to be with somebody forever.
There you go. I'll stick with that.
And why do you not want to get married?
Because
It's a daunting idea.
It's like a prison sentence.
yeah,
There you go.
everybody I know
Sorry.
who's gotten married, like, it ends up ruining everything.
Yeah. And personally, in my family, everyone's been married at least twice on both sides. So
There you
it's
go.
kind of not the most encouraging.
Can I ask a question? And maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. How many of those divorces were the result of infidelity?
a lot.
You should meet my mom.
Were they? Was that
At
primary?
least 3 of them. They, my mother. I don't know about my dad's first marriage. I don't know what happened there.
So your dad and mom are still together.
No.
Oh.
No, my mom's been married 3 times. She's just split from her third husband recently.
My grandparents
So
stayed
there's
together
3 of
for a long
those
time,
were-
even though my grandmother banged everything that moved.
my grandma had, I think, 4 husbands.
Wow.
Wow. And those were all infidelity too. So you're on a roll there.
Well, I
Was
mean,
your
you know,
grandmother the one?
No, I think my grandfather was initially. I'm not sure about all of them, but I know that at least that marriage, the biological grandparents were
What are we gonna
split
do?
up by my grandpa.
Go to glass, but then I realized there's a reason she gave me the plastic cup.
but the reason that I just brought that up, not to commandeer the conversation.
Where's
I'm
my-
near it.
Where's my plastic cup?
Infidelity? What is primarily the cause of infidelity? Lack of communication.
Yeah.
People can't say, you know, we got married, we were young, we were loved, we were frisky, things got a little bit stagnant, everything else in your life grew, because we're always growing. We're always growing up, we're always changing, we're always evolving, but oftentimes, you know, kids,
Questions?
family, job, all this stuff, sex kind of falls by the wayside. And eventually you come back to it, and you realize, boy, we are not quite on the same level that we were when we were young and had all this energy and all this. And again, it's that risk that we talked about before they came in. You know, all of a sudden, you know, you got a husband who likes shoving shit up his ass, and you're afraid to tell your wife that, you know, you like having stuff up your ass. You know, I mean, what do you do?
Vegetables.
Yeah, I mean,
Vegetables.
the extreme example, but it's, you know, do you risk this relationship you've had for a very, very long time? Everything is good, but sometimes for some people they just go, God, it'd just be easier for me to just go find someone off the street or in a bar or when I'm out of town on business, take care of my needs. No one's the wiser. Everything goes on happy. I don't have to risk my wife thinking I'm a freak or the wife thinking, you know, my husband's gonna think I'm a freak.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, like, part of my interest in all of this stuff is a reaction
Did Carrie
to
leave?
the way I grew up
Oh,
and sort of the way. I'm not saying that I completely transitioned out of that. I mean, theoretically, I believe what you said, that monogamy is not, you know, something that's natural to us. It's a choice. It's a difficult choice for a lot of people. But I grew up that way, and
As did most people.
yeah, and so for me, it just felt like if I ever cheated, I'd be struck by a bolt of lightning.
Yeah.
Like it just, and I never felt like I could even have that conversation with any of the women I'd ever been with. Most of the women I were attracted to were extremely possessive, and like if I even just went, but I still felt rumblings of things. And so I was always trying to reconcile that, like what. And I went through a period. All right, there are people watching, maybe nobody's watching. Where I went a long time without sex when I was married. We were having issues, and to the point where I was like, I don't care. Forget the bolt of lightning. I'm just going to sleep with the first girl that says she just wants to sleep with me. And I was a bartender, so it's not like it didn't happen, you know, from time to time. But specifically, I literally said this to myself, and the next day at work, this girl comes in, very pretty girl, and she's like chatting me up and everything. She goes, "What time do you get off for lunch?" I said, like 2. I live down the street. You want to come over and fuck? And I'm
Just
like,
like that.
well, I'm married. So am I. I won't tell if you won't tell. I'm like,
In the
oh my
words of
God, it's
positive K,
happening.
in the words of positive K, what's your man got to do with me?
And I totally like had that moment where I was like, sorry, I can't do it. I mean, I thought about it, and the bolt of lightning came back, and I just
Jacques,
said I can't do it.
but Jacques,
Wow.
in your relationship you were in at that time,
Uh-huh.
that wasn't quite both ways, was it?
No, my wife was not completely monogamous, and
But
Yeah,
she
I didn't
didn't
know
approach
that.
you with that before,
yeah, I
exactly.
didn't know that.
But you did it later, even while you still stayed married to her, and you still feel guilty
True.
when women would hit on you.
True.
So this is something
You know, I
psychological
mean, we're
about
not.
you.
Let's take this into perspective.
I mean, you were
to go way,
raised
way
by
back.
your, you know.
A completely off sexual topic. I mean, we are literally only a century away from when families arranged all marriages. And you stayed with somebody not because you love them, but because the family had fucking pride. You know, we've only been able to choose our significant others for not a very long time. And there aren't the rules that the family, I mean, at least in America, I mean, you know, Middle East, somebody they'll chop your fucking head off. But, you know, here, you know, when we make our own choices, we realize that's exactly it. We have a lot of choices. And, you know, to get married young and think that this is it forever, that's just, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the wrap up to
It's
my
a daunting idea.
It is daunting. And the wrap up to my story is this. I said to the girl, it's very flattering, but I can't do that. And this was her response. Okay, how much do I owe you? Walked out. Like, wow, she was on a mission. It wasn't me.
And it probably
was
hurt.
somebody.
It hurt you more than anything. Like, geez.
She's like, I gotta go find somebody. This guy's useless.
Yeah, like you were just a
She was on
number.
mission. Yeah, that's cool.
Bartenders are usually useless.
But yeah, I agree with you. We're not far evolved. That's why the whole love concept is so interesting. Like, when did that become part of the equation? Because, like,
It's a good question.
yeah,
Well, like, I kind of said earlier, I think it's always been, I think you can always really strongly care specifically for one person, but whether you have to sleep with them forever might not have always been there.
yeah,
You
because
can still have that, like,
not long
I
ago it
want to
was very
spend all
much a
my time
practical
with
arrangement,
you.
business arrangement, religious
Dowries, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was business.
Sure was.
We are, however, in an era where women have a lot more balls than we used
Oh,
to
yeah.
have.
God
And
bless.
we're allowed to have a lot more balls than we used to
I
have.
love it.
Especially when you talk
However-
about transsexuals.
That is absolutely true. But the
Especially.
women that were genetically born to mostly women and stayed mostly women, we were allowed to do culturally a lot more than we were allowed to do before, which is really fucking cool. Except that I don't know that we like the idea of the power of
Right.
things, but we don't necessarily need to partake in a lot of the power of
But a lot of
things.
women do. That's where you and I are on the same page that way. But there are a lot of women who have gone that direction and decide to take on what was traditionally more the male role and be more the predatorial, whatever. And there's a lot of women that are okay with that. And part of
And
me
it
wants
freaks out a lot of the guys
part of me
too.
wants to be that woman. I mean, it seems very
Let me
empowering,
ask
believe
you
me.
guys
But
something, especially you guys. So you like sex, I imagine. If you have a problem with it,
Ew.
but you also like a committed relationship. That's what you're looking for. What happens in between? What happens, like like you have biological needs, but you don't have necessarily the person that you want to ride off into the sunset with. What happens then?
Call me.
I'm gonna let you take that one first.
As you're asking me that, please do not sit. Thank you.
On my face.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it depends on who you end up meeting, because then it just becomes dating, which I think is ultimately the most complicated thing, is trying to find someone that you can find a commonality with.
Dating in LA is fucking impossible.
But dating, by the way,
This is
dating
true.
everywhere is complicated. It
Right.
just
Also
depends
true.
on what
even
kind of
Buffalo?
yes. It just depends on what kind of complicated you're willing to deal with.
Yeah.
And
That's-
the you're always gonna find people that want to have sex. Fine. But if you will always find people that you like more than they like you. And if you have a casual encounter with someone that you think is less casual than what they're thinking it is, that's when things get complicated. That's dating.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, always. That is always what gets complicated.
Make
So
rules.
then it gets even more interesting when
Be
you
honest,
find
how
someone that
transactions
you
are from the
can
beginning.
have. Okay, now we've agreed that we have a commonality or whatever. Okay, now you want to take it to another level. But the initial hardship, I think, is finding that someone that you have something with.
Let me ask you this: as a guy, and women have sometimes a different perspective on this. Have you ever met someone that you just love their personality? They're fun to be with. They're smart. They're everything. You have great sex, but you don't want to be in a relationship with them.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Just for whatever reason, there's just something.
It's complicated, or it's weird, or
Yeah.
there's
It's
a
more like
physical
your buddy.
attraction.
Yeah.
It's almost like your friends more than
Or
anything
not,
else.
or not. You don't even want to be friends with them. You just want to fuck their brains out and go away. And that's, yes, of course,
Mhm.
there's always going to be that. There will always be that.
But good, thank God for that. Because that fills
Sometimes,
the gaps.
but it's just,
So-
for me, it's just as hard to find someone like that as it is to find someone that you want
Yes.
to fall in love with.
That's true.
Because,
That's true because,
because
you're
in
not
order
gonna
to
fuck
have
someone
that
you don't
relationship,
actually like.
you have
Yeah.
to have trust.
Well,
you
some
have to have
people do.
trust with someone that you're
That's
gonna
gonna be
fuck.
so much. It's sexy.
Just don't talk.
In a kinky way.
Well, it's like I like to say though,
horrible.
Jacques, people like to be, when they go through casual encounters, when they want to make a connection, they're going to have their American romance, but eventually you're going to,
Shameless.
and then eventually you're going to
Yeah,
have
right.
a real problem. You're going to have an anti-birth, so then you're really screwed.
Or things get really bad, and you read
These are
through
all
their
titles
murder
of
diaries.
Yeah, the murder diaries. The murder diaries, yeah,
People.
it's true.
Yeah.
Funny how many movie
Relationships
titles
in
I'm
general,
making
I
that are
just
all.
don't think are easy.
Even casual ones.
Even
Yeah.
casual ones, because you
I like
have
the murder
to
diaries
find
bit.
some sort of commonality in your freedom of thinking, or your conservative of thinking, or your
So you
Well,
just-
I
so
think
you
I
just
think
do
there's
without?
I think those
no. Well,
women.
here's the thing, though. I think that women are a lot easier with doing without,
Yes.
for the most part,
Yes.
because at a certain point you just sort of shut off and go, okay, sex isn't something that I need. I'm looking for something deeper, and then you just wait for that.
Right.
Because I will have good sex when I find something deeper than that.
Right.
And then there are other people, mostly men, but I'm generalizing, where you guys just are like, let me just fucking put it in something, and that's okay too.
And if
Right.
we're
But
not, we're
that's what
jacking
you
off
also-
the
you're-
porn.
you're-
Well, I was just gonna say you're also like kind of skipping, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I mean, we have other ways to satisfy ourselves without actually having a man there. It's not as good
I
as
just
having a man.
said, so do we.
But yeah, but it's like there are other ways to get you through.
Does it start with an M?
But I think in general, and again,
It's all you just shut it off.
No, it's stereotyping
completely.
in every way. But I think girls are always looking for something deeper than men
in general.
in general. But that doesn't mean we're always looking to fall in love. It just means that we're looking for something more interesting than I just need to get it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the connection. I mean, it really
Yeah.
comes down to that. Like, I have to have some type of connection with someone to actually get that point. I'm just, I wish, I listen to people openly because I wish I was the type of person that could just have fun and just go out and sleep with all these different kinds of people. It's just not who I am. I have to have some kind of other connection with them. It can't just be, hey, let's have fun. Having said that, am I perfect? No. Have I had my weaker moments?
Hell
What I call my weaker
yeah!
moments, but like times where I'm like, you know what, this is just right time, right place, whatever. But for the most part, it's really about that connection on that level for me too. It just has to be that right person. Even if it's a friendship and you have a connection and you're both okay with a casual
I think guys
situation.
are kind of that way too. I mean, the other are the guys who are just like, whatever, like it's a hole, let's do something with it. But I think
Why
there's
waste a hole?
Why waste a hole? I can fit in there. I think there's a lot of guys, and I don't know. I'm not going to speak for Roger, but I feel like Ryan's that way too. Even though he's an open advocate and everything, he needs to feel some excitement, and that isn't just physical. It's like when I first came to LA, I worked at this bar, and it was like a high volume bar club, and I was 20 years old. I lied and said I was 21. And there was all these beautiful women just coming all the time. Coming
in.
all the time. And when I first started working there, I was like, yeah, I hit the jackpot. But after a while, you're like, yeah, what do you want? What do you want? Hurry up, what do you want? Order. And then every 400 girl that would come in, I would just like a thunderbolt. Like, oh my God, like this girl is amazing. And I don't know why that was the case, but I needed it. I couldn't just grab whatever pretty girl was drunk on the bar. Like I had to feel like, all right, there's
Yeah.
Something
little-
special.
No, I
Well, guys
you're
have
absolutely
that.
right. I mean, like for how much I work, you know, when I want to blow off steam, it's not go to the club. I'm not a club guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not my MO at all. It never has been. I mean, honestly, as cheesy as this sounds, what would be really, really great is somebody who's equally as busy as me. And you know, when we do have our downtime, it's a very special time because we don't get a lot of it. And for me, it'd be like taking my boat with that person out to Catalina for the weekend and then coming back. You know, like really just cram, action-packed, and not in just a sexual way. I'm just like, you know, actually have some quality time because sometimes it can be 2 weeks before I get a day off. You know, so it would be nice to actually have a connection. I'm not going to go fuel up my boat and take somebody to Catalina when all I want to do is fuck. That is just not. I'm not. I am not.
You can do that in prison.
I'm not going to pull up the stops if that's what my intention is. So yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, it'd be nice to make a connection with somebody like that.
But see, in your case, where you're talking about, you know, the hundreds and whatever thousands of beautiful women that you could just choose from, I mean, guys still, I think, have that predatorial instinct where it's kind of like nice to have a little bit of a challenge. So when we talk about connection, I think maybe, you know, I think you still have to have a little bit of that, like, I mean, some beautiful girl laying down the bar, I mean, you know, the joke is, you know, you wouldn't pass it up. But at the same time, like, obviously, if you have your choice of women, you're going to choose someone who you think is going to be a little more challenging, maybe intellectually or whatever your thing is. You know what I mean? Whatever you want that connection to be on whatever level. But
And I'll be honest, like the Thunderbolt I would get every once in a while, it wasn't necessarily the hottest babe in the place. It was
Yeah.
whoever, just whatever. I just,
it was a pheromone
you know,
thing.
and often it was just a look. Like they'd walk up to the bar, and I would just go, whoa. And again, it'd be like every
tractor beam.
fourth girl, yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even put my finger on what it was because again, it wasn't like they were, you know, the most physically
Right.
amazing person. It was
That's not a
just,
normal size. Was that your computer?
but I needed to feel that.
Mm.
Now I'll admit, I went
USB.
along. I was never in a relationship during that time, so there would be like after 4 months, the Thunderbolt could strike pretty easily. I was
Right.
like, whoa, it's been 4 months. That girl's amazing.
I need a Thunderbolt.
So
That's funny.
there's that.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, where's
This particular computer is about to run out of juice.
I know. So.
What
I
time?
don't know
Well, we're
who's-
almost to the end here.
Yeah.
11:52. How about
I
that?
think it'll make it to the.
Is this where